and I'm going to talk to you about my favorite cut of beef, the beef tenderloin roast. With the holidays approaching, this is my favorite pick for an entree, whether it be a dinner party or a cocktail party, and I'm going to roast it. Roasting is a method of cooking meat in the oven at a very high temperature, and you do not add water nor do you cover it. It is open in the oven. It sits on a rack because the juices are allowed to drip down, and so the meat itself doesn't actually cook in the juices. So what I'm going to do is preheat my oven to 425 degrees to cook this tenderloin roast. And make sure that you have an oven thermometer in your oven, because every oven cooks differently, and you may think it's reached 425, it may only be 400. So the next thing I want to do is put a meat thermometer in my large roast, and you want to put it in the thickest portion of your meat and push it down, making sure it doesn't touch the bottom of the pan so that you get an inaccurate reading. And on this particular roast, I can do a couple of things with it. I can marinate it with my favorite marinade the night before in a zip-top bag and turn it a couple of times. Or I can make up my favorite marinade that I have, or I can also do a rub, which is what I did on these two that we're going to show you. I mixed a tablespoon and a half of dried thyme with a tablespoon and a half of a pepper mixture. It's called a pepper medley or a pepper potpourri. It has a mixture of black, green, and red peppers all crushed up together. And I press that into the meat, put it in the oven at 425 degrees, and I let it cook for a medium rare to 135 degrees meat reading thermometer that you gauge it by. If I wanted it medium temperature, I'd cook it to 150. And I take it out ahead of time because it's going to rise another 10 degrees when I take it out of the oven and put it on, for example, a cutting board. And I'm going to take some aluminum foil and cover the roast and let it sit there and stand for about 5 to 10 minutes at least. You could go up to 15 or 20 if you wanted to, but that allows the juices to stay in the roast. If you slice it right after you take it out of the oven, have you ever noticed that the juices run? It's losing the moisture. So make sure that you have some standing time on that roast. I have prepared it today to serve at a dinner party, a sit-down dinner party, and I have cooked all of my food in the oven roasting. I put them on 2 different pans, but I cooked these roasted potatoes, which are little new potatoes. I quartered them. I tossed them with a little garlic, olive oil, rosemary, and I put them the same temperature, 425. The same thing with the asparagus. I brushed it with a little olive oil and then sprinkled it with some salt. So everything, your entire meal for a sit-down dinner, can be cooked in the oven in the roasting method. Another favorite way of entertaining is the cocktail party, where people kind of serve themselves. And so I've cut my tenderloin slices in half, and I've got rolls or biscuits that I'm going to use for little sandwiches. And you can have them made up ahead of time, or you can have your guests assemble them themselves. But what I've done is take the rolls and split them in half, and I would go ahead and split them in half if you're going to let them self-serve, because it's kind of hard to break them apart sometimes. And I put a piece of tenderloin on there with a piece of arugula lettuce, if you want to. Something else that would be good on here are caramelized onions, as well as avocado slices. And I have a Dijon mayo and a horseradish mayo, depending on people's preferences. And this is a very popular entree. Beef, to me, is very special. It's healthy and nutritious. It's quick, it's easy, extremely versatile, and my favorite part is it tastes good. And so I think you would enjoy trying any of these recipes that we've talked about today. But if you want to find other types of tried and true recipes, as well as techniques, roasting and cooking times of different cuts of beef, if you would go to www.beefitswhatsfordinner.com, they'll give you all kinds of ideas for entertaining during the holidays.